Let's talk about using and how you work with a recruiter specifically. So back to the context of, I just, I've started my job search in earnest. And I think there's two ways, and we talked about this in the last segment, which you're welcome to go back and look at. We still have that, I think, on the Twitch stream site. But there's two ways that you work with people. Someone approaches you and says, hey, I'm looking for a job, or you're searching for somebody to match an opportunity that you're looking to hire. So let's start with the first one. How do I reach out to a recruiter like you and say, hey, I'm open for work?
Yep. Well, I think the first thing to do is to figure out who is that recruiter that's going to best help you in your search. So ask your peers, hey, have you used a recruiting firm that's helped you in the past? So identify who are the top firms in your local market, or who are the top firms in your industry that can help you find a good role, and really, pick several. I think just using one is probably not maximizing your exposure into the market. Pick a few, develop those relationships, and reaching out to them is simply, send an email, find them on LinkedIn, call the firm. Sometimes just a cold call works. But yeah, engage with them in some format, figure out what roles they have right now, or what roles they might have in the future that might help you find a new role. Yeah,
and we talked about this before, and I just want to make sure that we do address this. So, when you are in a position that you're looking for a role, people can become a little bit more vulnerable to opportunistic scams. And you're never going to ask a candidate to pay for participating with you, right? That's not something that a reputable recruiting company is ever going to ask anyone to do. So if you get asked, or you'll contact someone and they ask you for a payment up front, it's a big red flag.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
I would not. No recruitment function would ask for money up front. No recruiter should be asking really for personal identifying information. So sometimes people kind of engage you, get you excited about a search, and then ask for, your W-2 or W-4. You got to be really careful about what you share.
Yeah, you don't need to provide any of that. Okay. So with that, a peer of mine has recommended that, hey, Ted's a great resource in the Denver market and knows exactly what's going on. I might have an intro through them to you via email. What are you going to ask me for? What do you need to see from me?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, first thing is a resume or some idea of what skills that you have that might be relevant, for us as we go to market you into our network of clients. And then if you're a software engineer and you have a GitHub, or you have some sample projects that you've worked on, I think it's really important to, as you start your search, make sure that you know what you're posting publicly is going to get looked at and evaluated by recruiters. So make sure you've got that polished up. You have a good portfolio out there where you can showcase your work.
Okay. All right. And then just rule of thumb, how long should a resume be?
That's a good question. The old one-page days, I think it's fine if you have like 1 to 3 years of experience to have a one-page resume. If you're a seasoned executive, if you're a seasoned software engineer, I think having a 3-page resume is okay. Probably I'm going to get some backlash for that, but I just can't see how you can fit, even with having ChatGPT write your resume for you, fit it all onto one page and include all the relevant details. So, call it 2 pages is a good rule of thumb, but if it goes to 2.5, it's really not a big deal.
Yeah, and we were guiding in the previous one, basically that 2 pages, more or less, right? And then the other thing I think is that, resume isn't just a resume. Resume is, as you said, your online profile. So you go crazy on something like LinkedIn or the Dice profile, because it doesn't matter how long that stuff is, right? The resume is going to be the thing which is moved around to sort of, to make that easy. So someone's reached out to you. That's what you're asking. How do you find people the other way, right? So you have a very specific role that you have been retained by a client to find candidates for. You're not just going to pull from people who've raised their hands. You're going to look across the market. Just explain your process to find people, and then how do I make sure that if I don't have a direct relationship with you, that I'm going to get found?
Yeah, that's so important. It's, if you're looking for a job, your number one goal is to be found, right? And so there's many different tools that are out there. Obviously, Dice being a great tool, having your resume posted on Dice. So our process, just so everyone knows, and most staffing firms are going to have some sort of similar, process once they get a rec to find the right person. first, as we discussed, we're going to go to our internal tools, right? Our database, our CRM, our ATS, and see, okay, who have we talked to recently? Who do we have current relationships with that might be a fit for this role? If that does not net us anything, we're going to go to tools that are going to find us proactive candidates who have raised their hand and said, hey, I'm looking for a new job. So people that recently posted their resume on Dice. And by recent, we're actually filtering by, okay, who posted a resume in the last 30 days? Okay, who posted a resume in the last 60 days? So we're going to filter and look at who are the most active candidates that are out there that we're going to have a much higher engagement rate if we reach out to them. So having that stay recent is important. I'm sure other firms are doing the same thing where they want to find candidates who are actively looking in their search, not post a resume 90 days ago. Chances are they've already found a job.
Yep.
So we're filtering through some different tools like that. And we're reaching out to those candidates. If we have their phone number, our team is probably going to give you a call if your phone number is posted out there. If not, we're going to use whatever messaging platform Dice gives us. If we have your email address, we'll shoot you a quick email. And the important thing is if you get a note from a recruiter, even if you're not interested, respond. Say, hey, that's great. I'm happy in my role right now. Thanks for messaging me. That way you at least keep that line of communication open where maybe down the road things change in a few weeks. And that firm says, oh, hey, they said they weren't looking or they responded and they engaged. So it just helps you to build those relationships with local recruiters. So when you do need them, you've already sort of greased the wheels and you've got a relationship built up.
Yeah, and I'll share a tip. If a recruiter reaches out to me, and that happens, it's not super frequent just because of the position I have. I'm definitely a more niche role, right? It's not, if a recruiter reaches out to me and exactly that, they say, I've got a job opportunity that we've found your profile online, we think you might be a fit for, but I'm not actually looking for a role. I will take 5 to 10 minutes and talk to the recruiter. And I'm not doing it actually because I think that I'm going to leave my current role. I'm doing it primarily because it builds a relationship with the recruiter that I might need in the future. And the second thing is, I know that there are people in my network who are looking for a role, and the recruiter isn't going to find them. I will say, hey, I'm not looking right now. It's nice to meet you, but here's a couple people that you might consider as options. So, I can keep that relationship alive because, as we talked about in the very first segment, the time to reach out to a recruiter cold isn't when you really need the recruiter. There's an opportunity to keep a relationship going a little bit. So, which is why Ted's on the show here now.